What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, all across the board, no matter where you go for social media, when you check out some stuff for Arc Raiders, there's a decent amount of people out there that I don't think really genuinely understand what an extraction shooter is all about. And I think that, going into this game, they think they could probably voice their opinions to a point to try to make sure the overall experience is nice and even across the board and everything is balanced. But I think they're going to have a rude awakening when they hop into the overall game. And they see that that is not what an extraction shooter is all about. And if they genuinely want to try to enjoy Arc Raiders, or any other extraction shooter to be more specific, they have to get used to a lot of randomness happening with the overall experience. But ladies and gentlemen, before going dive on deep, if you guys are interested in more content like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. I post twice here, once at 8 a.m. Eastern Time and the second time at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And we discuss all different types of variety. We're covering, Battlefield 6, which is going to be dropping Season 1 tomorrow. I'm going to be streaming that and posting videos about that. We cover Arc Raiders, which I'm going to be covering it up until the launch and even after launch forever, man. I love this game, so I'm going to be covering all the details. Skate, COD, Gears of War. I mean, trust me, if you can think of it, I probably go and discuss it on this channel, so subscribe and hit that bell. And last but not least, I do go ahead and stream Monday through Saturday over on Twitch starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And like I literally just said, we will be streaming Battlefield 6 Season 1. So if you guys are interested in seeing any of this, by all means, you've got a link to my Twitch channel down in the description of this video. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, this video topic was actually sparked by a post I saw over on Reddit by Liverpool, and I think they put it together perfectly. They said, extraction games are not designed for fairness and competitiveness. These waves of casual Valorant, Warframe, or Marvel Heroes type of players, games I love by the way, are ruining extraction shooters one by always pressing devs for equalizing features which go against the point of an extraction game where there's a lot of randomness. This already happened in Delta Force, which messed up with looting, as you don't loot better-ish than what you are having, and now they're trying to pressure ABI devs into some corny-ish as well. This ain't CS or WoW to equalize gear. These people come from other genres with zero understanding, consideration, or vision besides what they feel is fair and unfair. I wish devs would repeat my title out loud and double down on it. At the end of the day, these games are PvPvE looter shooters with survival elements. The idea of competitiveness or gear equalization goes against the dang genre. Like, what are we doing as a community? These requests are just so laughable from a design standpoint. But if you're not countered in time, then we risk another Delta Force event. ABI is still holding strong, but the nooblets crying they can't get a kill on a map are making it harder and harder for devs to continue to ignore them. Protect this game, and let's maintain that core idea and gameplay loop intact. I don't want to play a game in which the only ish I loot from someone else are heals and ammo. That game gets boring very fast. Killing players should feel the most rewarding. Now, some things I agree with, some things I don't agree. Like, for example, I don't think you should always try to hunt down players, and the only rewarding factor of this game is killing individuals. I don't know if that's what they meant, or maybe I just read it in that fashion. But I do agree with the overall, idea of what this person is posting here. And I preach it on this channel all the time. If you guys have been following me for a long time now, you guys know I say it pretty much 24/7. The thing that annoys me the most are players who go to different genres, and instead of respecting and, giving constructive criticism around what that genre is about, they try to bring their previous ideology into the game that they're moving over to. Again, like Battlefield players, having a bunch of COD players coming on into the mix. Nothing wrong with that at all, right? The more the merrier, and the more players playing the game, the more popular it gets. That's awesome. That's great for Battlefield fans. But there is a decent portion of COD fans who come into Battlefield who say, oh, the game needs streaks. Oh, the game needs this and that. Things that are meant for Call of Duty that make sense in the Call of Duty universe, but don't translate to Battlefield whatsoever. Or again, Battlefield fans going over to COD, asking for big team battle in COD, or all these other features that Battlefield has, classes. That makes no sense to ask for that in Call of Duty. It's irrelevant. Or, going into Rainbow Six Siege with the COD mentality. Or Rainbow Six Siege players going into COD with the Rainbow Six Siege mentality, asking for one-shot headshots. You see what I'm saying here? I always preach it, but if you go to a game, you should respect it for what it is, and not enough people do this, sadly. A lot of people aren't I don't want to call them not gamers, but a lot of people main one title and one title only. Their identity revolves around a game. They're a COD player, they're a Battlefield player, they're a CSGO player, they're a Rainbow player. They don't really branch out and play multiple different games. So when they do finally do such, instead of actually respecting what the game is about, they come in with their previous game's mentality and try to force that into the game, saying it's not going to be good unless it does this, and that from another title. And that's not how things work, ladies and gentlemen. Me, myself, you guys hear it from me all the time. I critique all these different games. I critique Skate. I critique Gears. I critique Arc Raiders here. I critique COD, Battlefield. And yet and still, every single game that I go to critique, is a completely different criticism. You will never hear me have the same mentality with any game that I'm reviewing, because that's not how you go about doing it. You have to respect the genre you're going into. And if you're coming into Arc Raiders, you can't expect them to make it the most balanced, perfect, competitive experience out there, because I'm sorry to say, that's not what extraction shooters are all about. What makes extraction shooters fun is the randomness, the BS that happens from time to time. People get pissed off about it, but those emotions are what's fun and addicting and make you want to come back in for more. Nothing's more annoying than getting shot in the back while you're trying to, extract out of the map. But guess what? Without that, that's a whole emotion that's out of the experience. Or getting into a gunfight and having a random arc robot pop on in and finish you off while you're actually probably winning the engagement, but it just so happens that the bot wants to lock onto you, not the enemy, you, and you so happen to die. Again, yeah, it's rage-inducing, but guess what? That's the random factor, and it happens to everybody, not just you. It might happen to you that game, but guess what? It might happen to your opponent the next, and it's hilarious. It adds to the casual nature and also the intensity that makes, everybody so hooked to extraction shooters. Shoot, what about the feeling of taking down a full squad, absolutely wiping a team, or even when you're solo and you take down 2 to 3, enemies at once, and it's a pile of loot there, baby. You're about to eat, but you're low on HP, you used a lot of your meds, you're kind of scrapping it together, so you have to go ahead and loot all the enemies and, get yourself situated again. Bam, shot right in the back of the head by a random person that just so happened to walk into the building at the perfect time, the right time in the right place. It sucks. It is absolutely devastating. Even if you came in kitted and you had a bunch of stuff and you took out all those enemies and then having that happen. But guess what? You get that enjoyment too. You know how many times I've walked in on people who got into huge engagements, tons of dead bodies, the guy's low and I just get a nice little, sweep and I can get all the loot myself. It happens to everyone, ladies and gentlemen. And again, it might be rage-inducing, but guess what? These games aren't made to be fair. They're not. These are the least fair experiences you could possibly find. So coming from a competitive style game, hopping into a game like Arc Raiders and then getting salty about the inconsistencies. Some people might have better gear than you. Like I said, third parties, arc robots coming on through, extraction campers. That's another one. Do you know how many people I see in the comment section or on social media? You can go on Reddit, Twitter, of people talking about how, bad extraction camping is within Arc Raiders. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the random factor. You never know what's going to happen in a raid. I don't necessarily agree with that. I never extract camp. It's lame. But do I have any right to tell you you're not allowed to do such a thing? No. It's totally a viable way of going about playing an extraction shooter, and you just have to work your way around it. And again, in a game like Arc Raiders, you can actually work around it pretty nicely with the third-person, camera angle. You can peek around, you can look around your surroundings 24/7, and also you just got to play it a little bit safer when it comes to extracting within this game. Just like with any extraction shooter, got to take your time and come in slowly. Kind of scout around the area, see what's happening. When you go up and call the elevator, don't just stand there. Get the heck out of there. I'm always, if I go up and call the elevator, I'm sprinting in, sprinting out, and hiding and waiting and seeing what happens. When the elevator opens, I don't just completely bombard my way in. I'm looking around me. I'm seeing if anybody else is waiting for this elevator or think it's a freebie that they can get out in. I gotta check my surroundings on this. When I'm running up to the elevator, I'm using my third-person angle because, again, this game is third-person to look around my surroundings, see if anybody else thinks they have to jump on me while I'm looking forward and running, and I can prep myself for an engagement. People don't do this. They go to an extraction and they think it's endgame. They did it, ladies and gentlemen. They won. They looted. They got some kills. That the extraction, they have all rights to go ahead and leave. No, that's not an extraction shooter. You can have the best raid of your life, and an extraction camper can take all of that away from you in a blink of an eye if you're not careful enough. But guess what? That is what makes these games fun and addicting. Rage-inducing. It's going to make you mad. But that's the randomness of extraction shooters. And to take that away, to take all those elements and try to make this game the most equal, well-balanced, fine-tuned experience in the world would kill it. It would absolutely kill it right away. That's not fun. when it comes to playing an extraction shooter. When it comes to playing a competitive game, yes, that's what we want. We want a game that's equal and fair and balanced to see who's the best of the best. But nobody gives a crap about that in extraction shooters. That's like the last thing over half of this community is worried about. Who has the craziest KD? Who cares? You're worried about doing challenges, leveling up your base, getting upgrades, getting cool loot, taking down the AI, going for queens. PvP is definitely an element of this game as well. Obviously, it's extraordinarily fun, and the devs did a great job of gunplay. But there's so many other elements to an extraction shooter besides just pew-pew that make it fun, right? And again, it's because of the randomness. So I just wanted to put this video together to give everybody a fair warning, because I think there's a lot of players out there who genuinely think that while this game is out and it progresses, that they'll balance this stuff out. That's not how it's going to go down. They might balance certain things that, maybe be a little overwhelming. Maybe a starting gun is just way too ridiculously OP and they might have to touch upon it or something like that. Who knows what might happen. But they're not going to try to make this a balanced, basically competitive experience. That's not what it is at all. It's going to be a much different future for Arc Raiders, and if anybody is expecting that, as I stated, it's going to be a rude awakening. So the sooner you guys understand the randomness of this game and the randomness of the genre, the better your experience will start to become. But, ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like. If you hate it, leave a dislike. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. Post twice here, once at 8 a.m. Eastern Time and the second time at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And also, if you guys are interested in any of my live streams, I do stream Monday through Saturday over on Twitch starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, if you guys are interested, I'll link that channel down in the description of this video. But as always, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.